Drive well.
Well, it's easy once you've got the knack of it.
You've changed, you know.
Have I?
You're so much more self-assured, mature.
You've changed a bit yourself.
What children we were. Do you remember Mr. Calvert's rent?
Yes, do you?
Well, this is more comfortable than a furniture van. Of course, if I got one, I'd have to have a chauffeur.
You know, I didn't know your husband had a title. What was he, a lord?
No, only a knight.
Oh. I didn't even know he'd kicked the bucket. Died. How did it happen?
We'd only been married a little while. A few months. It was very sudden. Hard. He overtaxed his strength. Of course, he was quite elderly, but most good and kind. He was in steel.
Oh.
Do you see very much of Nellie?
Quite a bit. I'm very fond of Nellie.
Yes, she's sweet. I'm so glad we met again, Henry. That silly little misunderstanding. You know, it's haunted me.
Has it?
Money. It's so important when you haven't got it. And now we've both got plenty and it doesn't matter. The real thing is ambition, isn't it?
How do you mean?
You want to be mayor, don't you?
You see, I could have been the youngest mayor this town's ever had.
Could have been.
Well, next year it'll be too late for that, and this year there's silly old Duncalf.
You don't want to upset him.
I don't mind about that, but...
But what?
I don't know. I don't know if I could do it.
Henry, don't you remember what I used to say to you?
What was that?
You can do anything. Anything at all. If you want to enough. You're that kind of man.
You really think so?
Yes.
Come on, birthday!
Well, Mr. Mayor, enjoyed yourself?
Well, I must admit.
And this is the kind of show that I'm blamed for trying to put a stop to.
Well, the weather doesn't help.
Don't make no difference what the weather is. Bursley team's a joke. As long as we get no public support, it'll stay a joke. You have the impertinence to organise meetings to condemn the directors. Well, the joke's over now. We're closing it down.
It's a pity about Thursday's meeting, though. We don't want the thing to become a political issue.
Politics don't come into it. It's simply a matter of the shareholders' interest being protected. And I'm going to say so. I'll give them a meeting.
Hey! I'd like a word with your captain, Councillor Machin.
You better come with me.
Thanks.
There's only one thing wrong with Bursley football, and it's not the football club. It's yourselves. For 13 years now, me and my co-directors have been losing money, our own money, to provide this town with a professional football team. And we've warned you again and again what would happen if these matches weren't better patronized. And now, when you've starved the club to death, you call a meeting to complain about bad management.
Hello, Henry. I thought you were in Birmingham.
Did you?
New blood and all the rest of it. It's all very well to talk, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Facts are the real talkers. How are you going to get new blood with transfer fees as high as they are? Would anybody at this meeting care to lend the club £1,000 or so? Anybody? I thought not. What you're asking for is not better management, but something for nothing.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor? May I say a few words on this subject?
Step up on the platform, Councillor Machin.
Thanks. I don't pretend to be an expert on football, but I would like to say something about this question of new blood. If I'm not mistaken, one of the greatest modern footballers is a native of this town.
Callear. That's right, Callear.
Callear's the man I mean. The greatest centre-forward in England. Callear left this town when he was a boy, and he's made the fortunes of every club he's played for. Liverpool City.
York County.
York County.
Preston North End.
That's right, and Birmingham. He's the best there is. Gentlemen, I say that Callear ought to come back to his native town. As Bursley's centre-forward, he'd lead us on to victory, all right, wouldn't he?
I'm glad Councillor Machin admits that he has no knowledge of football, because that saves me the trouble of telling you.
Why don't you sit down?
It's probably news to him that Aston Villa and Blackburn Rovers have both made offers to Birmingham for Callear, and now these two wealthy clubs are fighting it out between them. And as to getting Callear back into Bursley, why, steam engines and the king himself couldn't do it.
Finished? Mr. Callear, would you mind stepping up a moment so we can all have a look at you? Well, gentlemen, we've got Mr. Callear here without either a steam engine or His Majesty. I suggest to the directors of the club that they accept him and try another season.
Wait a moment. What about the transfer?
Oh, I forgot. I signed him up in Birmingham this morning as a present for the club.
It won't be Councillor Machin for long now, Denry.
That's right. It'll be there.
Hello, Mr. Machin. We won all right, eh? Have you seen news about Councillor Cotterill? Terrible thing. Bankrupt.
Cotterill's bankrupt?
Yes, I know. The petition was filed in Manchester. That's how they were able to keep it a secret for so long. Nellie herself didn't know until last week. She told me yesterday.
But why didn't they tell me? I'd have helped them.
But it wasn't just the money. There was talk of, well, criminal proceedings.
Well, why didn't you tell me? Just to let them go off like that?
Well, Nellie made me promise not to. They didn't want a lot of fuss. They were ashamed. Their relations in Canada sent them the money for the fare. It seemed easier for them to just go without saying goodbye.
But to Canada?
They sail from Liverpool tomorrow, steerage.
Steerage? Nellie in the steerage?
And Mr. and Mrs. Cotterill. They wanted a little money left for when they got there.
Steerage? No, we'll soon change that.
But they're sailing tomorrow afternoon. It's too late.
Oh, no, it isn't. I can telegraph Liverpool for first-class cabins, go out by train in the morning and make them change. Steerage.
Henry, all right. Listen, we're both friends of theirs. Let's halve the costs, you and I, and let's go together to Liverpool and see them off.
That's a very good idea.